The Hong Kong Exchanges and Clearing Limited introduced amendments to the Corporate Governance Code in December 2012, requiring its listed companies to have a policy and to report on their board diversity. This comes into effect on the 1st of September 2013. Community Business recently ran a breakfast seminar on corporate diversity where governance expert Dr. Donna Hamlin shared experiences on diversity in the boardroom and provided useful insights on how best to implement board diversity. Here is what she shared with the Hong Kong business community.
Diversity is an exciting topic right now, and it's captured the imagination of companies around the globe. Diversity means different things to different cultures, though, and it's usually driven by the national philosophy around what makes a difference in corporate performance. Some people believe it has to do with fixing the mix of skills and experience and knowledge among parties, and others think it has to do with balance among gender. So there's a big push right now around getting the quotas in place to make sure that there's a balance between men and women on boards. That's been interesting because the data is starting to trail and track the performance of companies when they make the changes. And there seems to be some strong, compelling evidence that those boards that have high diversity outperform those that don't, which means that more boards now are saying, gee, maybe we need to do this. A policy is just the first step in a total system for good diversity management. And what many companies do is create the policy and then say, now what? It's better if the board sits and considers the entire solution and then creates one that's going to work for them. And that may include a question as to who's the rightful owner of it over time. Is it the board? Is it the management team? Is it a committee of the board? Is it a combination of people from the outside community with a committee of the board? No right answer exists other than the one that's good for that particular company in its social context. The second thing is to make sure that there's a strong tone at the top, that the board is the voice to say to all employees, this is why we're doing it, and here's what we expect to get from it. That allows the ambassadors within the organization to help and make it successful. The third thing is to create a very strong program to develop talent for the future. It's one thing to find directors that satisfy the diversity need for today, but if we're not growing talent and a pipeline for the future, there won't be talent later. And that means inside and within the community. The best companies are ones that are finding independent directors within their local region. And there's new data out that says that the more independent directors that are available in your local region, the better off your performance is. There are two main ideas on mastering this and getting full leverage. The first is that many boards say they want diversity, they bring talent in, and then they don't know how to deal with it. And the organization or the board may go into what's called shock because they aren't considering what it's like to have a diverse candidate come in and be ill-received or not welcomed as part of the group that was before that quite homogeneous. So many boards now are looking at what can we do to create an integration that makes that director successful early. And there are things you can do to increase their adaptability into the culture and the norms of the way the board works. There are some training programs that are going on now for board directors on what we call social fitness to make the group dynamics more effective. That helps a lot. The priorities of a board have to be obviously what the work is, but boards only meet 4 to 6 times a year. So developing that network of good dynamics is hard to do. It's not like a management team that meets every day. They have to invest a little extra time on that to be successful. One of the primary barriers to success is when a board says, well, let's just copy somebody else. And it seemed to have worked in the United States with this company well. Let's borrow their plan and do it. That generally doesn't work. Laying over onto a culture something that works someplace else is presumptuous. The thing that a board should do is have some deep, dedicated conversations about what does diversity really mean for us and why are we doing this? Because the answers could be quite different. It could be just to stay in compliance. It could be because it's good for our business and we've looked at it for our representation of shareholders. Or it could be we're going to learn some things that we didn't know before. And the root of the reasoning is the beginning of how you design your program. Because if it's compliance, you have to do a lot more education. If it's about learning, they're already ready to be educated and they're hungry for it. So the first step for overcoming that is to design a plan that's customized to the company. You can go do a little discovery work to find out what other companies have done, but don't assume that you're just going to lay that over.